Hello, this video is going to look at how to take your C major 1 octave scale and extend it into a 2 octave scale. So this is for your basic scale finger pattern, your C major pattern. And the reason we're spending time on this one at first is because it's used for nearly half of your scales. So the scales of C, D, E, G and A, majors and minors, that's 10 scales, all use this same finger pattern. If you haven't done the 1 octave finger pattern yet, or you feel like you need a reminder, there is a video specifically on just 1 octave, and I'll put a link to that in the description for this video if you want to go and have a look at that first. So, what we're going to start with then is the right hand. Now the 1 octave C major scale that you've already learnt has no sharps or flats, starts and ends on C, which we call the tonic. We have our pinky finger on the 1 octave C above. It looks like this. So really important things to remember. We have a group of 3, then a group of 4, and then we put our pinky on C at the top. What we're going to do for the 2 octave one, is why it's really important to remember those finger groupings, is we're going to play the same octave again, but 1 octave higher. So we will end up with, this is the simple version, we're going to end up with a version of this. Then we start again on the thumb. And then we start again on the 5. Okay, so the very starting position is to think of this as a 1 octave scale plus the same 1 octave scale again, then come back down a 1 octave scale, then come back down the same 1 octave scale again. So I can't stress enough how important it is that you have the same finger on the same note every octave. It's the same pattern. So you start with a thumb on C, thumb on the tonic. You're going to have a thumb on the tonic in the middle. You have a second finger on D. You're going to have a second finger on D here. Really important one to know, 4th finger on the B just next to the tonic. And the octave above will still be 4th finger on B and the same coming down. So you will always use the same finger on the same note. So once you've had a go at doing that 1 octave plus 1 octave, what we're going to now do is think about how we take out the double note as we did a pinky and then start it again. So we do our group of 3 to start, as always, followed by a group of 4. Now if this was 1 octave, we'd put our pinky on the C. But remember I said we started with a thumb on C, and we're going to have the same finger on every octave, so we're going to put our thumb under to play this next C. So why don't you have a go at that with me? We're going to do 1 octave, but we're going to end with a thumb on C instead of a pinky. So after 4, 3, 4. Hopefully you ended here like I did with a thumb on C. Just before it was that 4th finger, group of 3, group of 4, thumb under for thumb on C. So to come back down, you would come back down exactly the same way. It's that 4th finger over on B. Imagine that that was your pinky starting the top of the scale. The 4th finger goes right next to the tonic. And 3, 2, 1 to finish. So why don't we try that 1 octave up and down with thumbs on C, so no pinky at all in this one. 3, 4. So notice there's no 4th finger in the middle of the scale. It's a 1, 2, 3. and then the fourth finger is on the B immediately next to the tonic. So as you're coming down and you wonder, what finger do I put over here? The 4 is the one that goes right next to the tonic. So we can now get all the way to the top. So we've just got fourth finger on B, thumb under on C, and now we're ready to start our second octave as if it was the first one, starting from the thumb. So let's go all the way up the 2 octaves. 3, 4. Thumb under and start again. And you notice this time I put my pinky at the top because we're not going to go any further. That is 1, 2 octaves, 2 Cs. So we have our thumb on C, thumb on C, and the only reason we put the pinky here is because it's like a stopper. That's as far as we're going to go. We're not going to go any higher than that. So then coming back down, you do exactly the same in reverse. So you start with your 1 octave scale, descending. And make sure you end with your thumb on C. So we had a fourth finger next to the tonic. There's the 4. The next one, because the 3 and the 4 alternate, is a 3. So we end up with our thumb on C. Now, if this was the top of the scale, we would have a pinky here and the 4 would be the next finger. But we've actually come to this C with a thumb on it. It's still a fourth finger next, so you have to put your 4 over or your thumb under, whichever way you like to think about it. And here's your third finger. Let's do that descending again, because this is where the majority of people have their main problem, is when do they put the 3 or the 4 over. So really important, next to the tonic, it's only going to be a fourth finger, never a 3. So starting from the top, pinky, fourth finger on B. 3, 4. Now third. Now 4. Now third. So because our 7 notes are a 3 plus a 4, and then we repeat the pattern, 3 plus 4, we always have our swapping between third finger, fourth finger, third finger, fourth finger, and coming down, they swap again, 4, 3, 4, 3. So really important, remember they swap 3s and 4s, and remember that your fourth finger will always go next to your tonic. So the left hand plays by exactly the same rules. So it should be nice and straightforward. If you've got the hang of those rules in your right hand, your left hand does the same. So you already know your 1 octave C major scale. We're going to start from the middle, or the top if you like, and work down, just because it's a mirror image of the right hand, so it's going to be easier to start off with. So we start with a group of 3, then a group of 4, then a pinky. So this is your 1 octave C major, 3, 4. So you notice in this hand your fourth finger's on D, again right next to the tonic on the note D. So to make this 2 octaves, you can, when you get to your C, replay it with the thumb and carry on down the second octave. So that sounds like this, 3, 4. So when you're happy that this is a 1 octave scale plus another 1 octave scale, so again the same fingers are going to appear on every note, thumbs on C, fourth fingers on D both times, you can get rid of that duplicated C in the middle. Instead of using the pinky then the thumb, we're just going to go straight from 4 to thumb. So we end up with this. 3, 4. Fourth finger, thumb on C. Fourth finger, and we use our pinky at the very end because we're not going to go any further. And then to come back up, we do it all in reverse. So we do the group of 4 first. Here's the 4. Now the group of 3. And thumb on the tonic. Now the group of 4. Group of 3. And we're back to thumb on C. Thumb on the tonic. So let's do that whole left hand 2-octave scale starting in the middle. 3, 4. So we started in the left hand at the top, we went all the way down, and then we did the scale going upwards. You don't have to start at the top. In fact, it's quite usual and more common to start at the bottom, so it sounds the same as what we did in the right hand. We start at the bottom, we go up, and then we come back down again. So here's that left hand scale starting at the bottom. So remember, we're going to come all the way up to the thumb. Then it will be a 3, 2, 1 so that we end up with thumb on C. It's a good test. If you end up putting a 4 over, firstly, that 4 is not the next door note to C. And we don't have our fourth finger anywhere except next to the tonic. So that's one test. But the other is if you did put a 4 over, you wouldn't end up with a thumb on C. So have a little think ahead while you're playing and make sure you always end up with thumbs on C, fourth finger right next to the tonic. So here it is, 2 octaves, left hand, coming up to the top and then back down again. 3, 4. 3 over. 4. 3. Thumb under. Thumb on the tonic. Thumb under. 4, 5 to finish. So hopefully that was helpful in building up your scales. You should now have your basic C major finger pattern in the right hand 2 octaves and the left hand 2 octaves. So I hope that was useful. Have fun with those. They will open up the whole keyboard for you. You can now move up and down the whole of the piano to your heart's content using all of those notes, being really confident with your thumb unders. So enjoy, have fun, see you later.